Hey all, Glenn Kirschner here. Please enjoy this video on the Political Voices Network.
So you said October legal recap. The month started with a New York judge imposing a gag order on Trump. The month ended with a D.C. judge imposing a gag order. So in some ways it was a pretty good month. So what happens now? I mean, I still remain befuddled that these orders are so narrow that he's still free to go off on the judges and prosecutors. But you tell me where we're at with
it. It feels like our only shot at accountability in the near term is not necessarily enforcing the gag order or sanctioning him when he violates it, which he will, but getting that jury selected beginning on March 4th. The jury summonses just went out. Hundreds of D.C. residents are being brought into court in January, months ahead of jury selection, to make sure they have enough qualified jurors to move forward on March 4th. Then that trial will take about 4 or 5 weeks. He will be convicted so fast it will make his head spin. I believe he will be sentenced to prison, and he will not be left on release pending appeal. That's what we have to keep our eye on, that ball and that schedule, because that is how justice is finally going to come for Donald Trump.
This is J6 keeping. I know, Chris. I'm getting just as excited. I speak for Malcolm Nance when I say my penis can only get so erect. Okay. Wait, what? You also tweeted in his latest court filing, Jack Smith is attempting to walk Trump step by step ever closer to a pretrial jail cell, as you discussed on your show. Talk to us about that for a minute. So we know Donald Trump will violate the reimposed gag order from Judge Chutkan. Now, let me add that he just filed in the appellate court in D.C. a request that the gag order again be stayed or paused while he appeals it. Judge Chutkan denied that request. I suspect the D.C. Court of Appeals will deny it as well, so it will remain in place, but we'll know soon enough. He will violate it, and then the only question is, what will the sanction be? As I have said all along, it ought to be revoking him on pretrial release and putting him in a jail cell pending trial. He's getting closer and closer to that every day. A couple of tweets. You just also sent a thrill up my other leg that was not unthrilled yet. Regarding the reporting that D.A. Willis has not made plea offers to Trump, Giuliani, Meadows, and Eastman, that's not unusual. There is no right to a plea offer, and prosecutors often decline to make plea offers to leaders of a criminal enterprise like the one Trump headed up. So talk to us about where we are on Georgia for a minute.
Yeah, it's not at all unusual in RICO cases. For example, in the ones that I handled, you don't make plea offers to the biggest criminal fish. You say, fine, you want to plead guilt, because you don't need to flip them against anybody because they're the big fish. So you say, you want to plead guilty? You can plead guilty straight up to the indictment. In other words, we will take no charges off the table. We will make no sentencing concessions to you, but you can walk in and plead guilty to every count in the indictment, and then you get a little bit of a reduction from the judge for what's called acceptance of responsibility. But you know what? You get no plea offer because you're the big criminal fish and you need to go to prison.
Glenn, you, by the way, speaking of something, I'm trying to keep all these trials straight. You also said Trump mocked Pence for speaking of people that will testify against him. You said that Trump mocked Pence for dropping out of the presidential race, laughing when one of his supporters yelled out that Pence is a traitor. Guess what? Pence will get the last word, if not the last laugh, when he testifies against Trump as a sharply incriminating prosecution witness. Talk about that for a second.
Yeah, Mike Pence is such a sharply and directly incriminating witness against Donald Trump. There's no doubt he will testify in the D.C. trial. And Pence is on record as saying a number of things. One, Donald Trump was relentlessly pressuring me to violate the law, the Electoral Count Act. And at one point, Donald Trump said to me, you know what your problem is, Mike? You're too honest. The reason that's such an important statement, Steph, is because it proves that Donald Trump knew that what he was asking Mike Pence to do called for dishonesty. It was illegal. So Mike Pence will crush Donald Trump as a prosecution witness at trial. Whether he likes it or not, his testimony will crush him.
Okay. I'm going to go on a limb as a really great lawyer and prosecutor. No client has ever called you a little as A little effer, yeah. John Carl, in his new book, says that he reports on a particularly heated moment when Trump, related to the hush money trial, when the judge announced the court date March 25th, he reacted angrily, waving his hands and shaking his head. He appeared to be yelling at the lawyer sitting next to him at Mar-a-Lago. This was on a Zoom thing. That's in the middle of the primaries. Trump yelled, "If I lose the presidency, you're going to be the reason." He continued nearly 30 minutes after the court appearance ended. The camera was turned off. A withering attack on perhaps the most highly regarded lawyer on Trump's troubled legal team. He said, "You're going to cost me the presidency."
And which lawyer was that he was berating?
Wait, which lawyer is this one? This was because carry the four divided by the guy that's in the what do you call it? This is the hush money case, right? Mm-hmm. Yes. I don't know which one this is. I lose track
of all of Donald Trump's lawyers, but we know he berates all of them, right? Eventually.
Yes, I can't. Who can remember? It's not the parking garage or the I don't know, other lawyer. So, but this brings us, as it always does, to Judge Cannon. I mean, she, of course, is the only one that appears inclined to help him with his delay tactics.
Yeah.
I mean, it seems so clear she should recuse, but, will she, I guess, is the question.
Yeah, no, I don't think she will. I've got Judge Cannon's 15-page ruling here that she issued day before yesterday, within minutes of Judge Chutkan issuing a very succinct, professional 5-page ruling. I don't want to give our listeners or our viewers homework, but you might want to give Judge Cannon's order a read, because she again reveals for all the fact that she's biased in favor of Donald Trump. She berates and criticizes gratuitously and even in a snarky way Jack Smith in the Office of Special Counsel every single turn. I mean, she does it about 10 times. It gets uncomfortable just to read it. So again, she continues to build the record that her, and here are the legal catchwords, that her impartiality might reasonably be questioned. It's a very low standard to have a judge be required under the federal law to remove themselves from the case. I still hope maybe we see a motion to recuse from Jack Smith, but I think that train may have left the station.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you, she could not be any more ill-equipped to preside over the case involving the very person who bestowed on her a lifetime appointment as a federal judge.
Thank you. Yeah, and Jack Smith, basically, that's what he said, right? Is that, he tried to say, hey, Judge, he's trying to delay both trials at any cost. Obviously, every other judge seems hip to this. Real quick, you tweeted, a trial in Colorado seeks to disqualify Trump from 2024 presidential ballot under the 14th Amendment. Here's why the evidence proved Trump engaged in and gave aid and comfort to the insurrection. I mean, I'm not a legal like you are, Glenn, but it seems to me to be a very clear argument, and I am of the we got to stop him by any legal means necessary.
This is going to be an important ruling from the judge in Colorado. I can't imagine she will rule any other way than to say the evidence amply supports Donald Trump incited, engaged in, assisted, and gave aid and comfort to the insurrection, and therefore he's disqualified from having his name placed on the presidential ballot. And they opened strong. CREW, the Citizens for Responsibility and Ethics in Washington, is the organization doing great work that brought this case on behalf of Colorado voters. And they put on Officer Daniel Hodges, who we sort of famously and horrifically saw his head getting squeezed in that door on January 6th by those Trump supporters. Then he put on Eric Swalwell, who, quote, choked up during his testimony, recounting what he and his colleagues went through on the floor of the House. And it's a powerful presentation. It's an important legal development, and the judge, I think, is going to get this right.
All right. Legal rock star. And by the way, you're bringing your A material these days. Since you've been hanging around the sexy liberals, the jokes are just as good as the legal analysis.
Trying to be like y'all, trying to be funny.
You are.
Jokes and legal analysis.
That's
the
right.
best. All right. Love you, Glenn. See you next
Glenn.
week.
Love you, Steph.
There it is, my first drink of the day, Z-Biotics Pre-Alcohol Probiotic. Many of you know my story. I stopped drinking wine for 3 years during COVID, during the lockdown as part of a health reset. Now I drink wine in moderation, but this is an amazing new product. I've always believed in probiotics. And Z-Biotics, check this out. You drink just one of these. It's the world's first genetically engineered probiotic. It was invented by PhD scientists to tackle rough mornings after drinking. I am using this, and I feel great in the morning. I don't have to worry. If I have an extra glass of wine, I still feel great in the morning. Here's how it works. When you drink, alcohol gets converted into a toxic byproduct in the gut. I've always had acid reflux problems. It is this byproduct, not dehydration, that's to blame for your rough next day. ZBiotics produces an enzyme to break this byproduct down. All I know is it works. It is ZBiotics pre-alcohol probiotic. Go to zbiotics.com/politicalvoices or scan the QR code on the screen right now.